crap, guys. I hope you like that intro by freaking Brandon Williams, tearing it up. Plus our new overlay. Holy crap. I am Dusty. You can tell because I have a really, let me see if I can do this, a really cool name right here. And then this is John Tata. Hello, John Tata.
Hello.
Awesome. Brandon Williams, once again, with the awesome overlay we have. We got that all updated, which is really, really cool. Hopefully it looks a little bit better for you guys. And that really awesome, like, killer fucking intro came out, which is cool. Got me all psyched up. I don't know about you, John Tata, but I'm ready to, like, do some more Dance Studio. What was that game we were playing? Dance Revolution, whatever?
Dance Central.
Dance Central, yeah. Like, I'm ready to play some more of that. Like, all right. Here we go. First things first. Thank you guys so much for all the overwhelming support and comments and criticism and just, like, likes and views and everything is so awesome. Like, I cannot believe how much views and the support we've got from you guys. It's been so awesome. I like it. I know John hates it, which is weird, but I don't know.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
He's really bummed out about it. So thank you guys so much. John, I know John is, like, overwhelmed. Like, he's been, like, every other day we've been talking, and, like, he's been sending text messages. Like, I cannot believe, like, once again, how much you guys like it, everything, and hopefully that these little bit of changes we've done will be good for you. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah. You know, the support's been great. You know, all the fan sites have, you know, been really good support. The Hex forums, the official forums, are, you know, booming. You know, everywhere. You know, for this game, everything's just been great. And you know, we're still even 2-3 months out of a beta still.
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, I can't imagine when this game hits, like, actual alpha or you know, even beta, whatever. Like, it's going to explode. Like, I'm so excited. So.
Yeah, I think Kickstarter had like 18,000 backers, and that wasn't counting the PayPal people. So we're looking at over 20,000, you know, backers for this game. So having that many people in just the beta is going to be pretty tremendous.
Yeah, what's so interesting about this game, I think it's kind of different than a lot of the other ones I've seen on Kickstarter, is a lot of times, like, the numbers will go, like, super up during Kickstarter, and then as soon as Kickstarter's over, like, everyone forgets about it. You know what I mean? But, like, this game, I just feel like it's still going up. I've seen tons of my friends, and I'm sure tons of yours as well, have been, like, starting to get Slacker backers and stuff. Like, this game is just continuing to grow, and I'm so excited about it. I cannot wait to see this game go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll be huge. So that's, you know, that's a good thing. You know, we really need a new online game to keep everyone, you know, in the online, you know, gaming world. So Magic Online can only do, you know, so much, and, you know, I think Hex brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for it. Also, before we get into our last 3 callers, I think my sidekick John Tata would like to tell you guys about a giveaway that we're going to do. Oh
yeah, so this morning, if you haven't seen the website yet, you should go check it out, of course, at HexTCGPro.com. There's a sticky post there. It should be the first one that you see for our brand new giveaway. So if you missed the Kickstarter, we were lucky enough to snag a handful of Warrior Tier Kickstarters, and to see what all that entails, just click on the article, and I have a photo there of what all is in the Warrior Tier. But we had 3 of them. We gave 2 away via Facebook before we launched the website, and we have 1 more to give away. So I announced that this morning. All you have to do to be eligible to win it is comment, post any comment on any of our articles from when we launched, and that'll last up until next Wednesday's article. So just post a comment, even if it's just, you know, hey guys, great job, love the website. You can join in on some discussions, you know, whatever you want to do. Just comment on something. Sure, you know, you can comment on Dusty's wonderful hair and my new haircut.
Check this out. Look what I can do, John Tata.
But yeah, that's real cute. And yeah, you know, but but really, just you know, post a comment, join in on some discussions, and you know, I'll open up my webpage here, and I'll just go to random.org just like last time, punch in randomize, and someone will be a lucky winner. Also, someone asked a question on the forums, if you can give that Warrior Tier to someone else if you win, and the answer is yes. I will notify you by email if you won, and you just give me a name and an email of anyone, and I will send that along to Cryptozoic, and they will be in contact with you. So that's it, guys. Please check it out. We love to give things away for free, and this, is no exception.
Definitely. Hope we can get some more stuff to give away too as the weeks go forward as well.
Yeah, and future giveaways. It'll be called Giveaway Thursday. We'll have contests that last for a week basically, and we'll give away things such as draft sets. We're gonna have T-shirts here before too long. We can give away T-shirt. Just things like that. So
cool. I'll tell you what, like that hair thing really owned me. It's like in my eyes, like, oh my gosh, this is too much sexiness for my face to handle. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's move into the first set of cards, the diamond cards, and get along the way. Let me tell you, first of all, these cards are so annoying. I have to do this kind of format because a lot of these cards are so like, when this card comes to play, create another card, or create this card, or create this, blah, 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 and it's like, so bear with me. Again, I didn't really get around to making the cards come back on sooner. We heard your comments. That's completely my laziness. I apologize. Actually, it's John's fault, but I'm taking the bullet for him. It is his fault. He is my sidekick, so everything is his fault. Everyone can't be the hero, baby. So, because I'm pretty sure that the superhero always has hair. I'm not sure, but I don't have a bold superhero. Okay, so moving into the old diamond. So I think we're gonna change up a little bit too. We're gonna go ahead and do our audible mentions first, and then move into our top three. That way, like a little bit more suspenseful, I guess, or something. So we'll move in on mine first, since it's right here for me to click. Also, I'll promise I'll make these bigger for you guys too. Like, there we go. Phoenix Guard Aeronaut. This card right here, full 5-drop. Let's talk a little bit about it, John Saddle. What do you think about it?
I think this card is pretty good. Okay, so Phoenix Guard Aeronaut here. It's a 5-cost card with only 1 diamond threshold, which is pretty solid if you just want to splash it in other color decks. As flight, it's a 3/4, and it says each opposing champion who played a card this turn can attack with troops, and if each opposing champion who attacked with a troop can't play cards. So this really forces your
opponent.
Let's see, fight. Oh yeah, okay, sorry. I was rereading the card. Yeah, so it makes them make decisions. So either they attack and don't play cards, or they play cards and can't attack you. So it's pretty controlling card. I wouldn't play it in a faster deck, but I think the card is very good. It's, multiple uses, and it really slows the game down to the tempo that you want to play at.
Yeah, for sure. Also, the other cool thing about this card is it only actually affects your opponent, which is really cool, right? Like most effects like this we see is like it affects both players to kind of even it out a little bit, but this is like just straight up destroys your opponent and allows you to sit back and play as much stuff as you want, which is really cool. I like it a lot, and once again, like we're seeing these flyers come out that are just insane. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel like we haven't really seen a bad flyer yet. I mean, not that
not really. I mean, it's flight is a good keyword. Anyway, like anything with evasion is pretty solid. But being a 3/4 is pretty good. We mentioned last week that 3 was probably the number that you wanted to be at for toughness, but even having 4 is even better than that.
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
I see this card seeing quite a bit of play, and we'll have to see what decks it fits in. But like I said, I picture it going in more controlling decks, and kind of slowing down the game.
Yeah,
what it's good at.
I like the card a lot. I mean, like we talked about a little bit last week, Diamond isn't my favorite color so far. It's probably actually my least favorite, but this card's very interesting. I like controlling cards, and this card is definitely going to be a staple, I think, for even control mirrors. Like I think it's going to be a really cool card, and I think it's going to see a lot of play in some decks, which is why it's our honorable mention. It's not, it's going to take a special deck to take advantage of it. Like you say, you're not going to throw it in, your Diamond aggro deck or whatever. But like,
sure.
It's a cool deck. It's a cool card. I mean, and I think it's going to see a lot of play. I think the effect is super powerful, and I'm pretty excited to see how people can abuse it.
Yeah, I like it.
Moving on to your card of the day, of the night. This is so sloppy. I'm so sorry, guys. Again, it's all John's fault. I'm trying to tell him. Okay, old Diamond. John Tennis card, the old Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment is a card that maybe I'm overrating just a little bit, but the effect is pretty good because it can potentially, you know, really swing the game in your favor if set up properly. So it's a six cost basic action, 3 diamond threshold, so you can't really splash it in some decks. You can, but not really 3 color decks. It's a basic action, and you destroy all cards with costs less than the highest cost among cards you control. One thing that I really like about this card is the combo potential with other cards. It's really good with the card that I covered on Tuesday, the Warlock and Inquisitor. Because of his increasing cost, you can combo it with this. So if you can get him to cost 5 or 7 and then cast this card, you can destroy everything that costs less than him. So you're left with a 3/1 with some sort of gem in it, and your opponent basically has nothing. Like, that's really, really backbreaking. And this is also one of the only cards that can actually destroy all troops in play, other than Extinction, of course. But effects like this are really powerful in every game, and this game is no exception.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, this is definitely an aggro killer. I mean, like, you talked a little bit about Extinction. We'll kind of use it in this example. If you Extinction on turn 5, and then let your opponent build the board back up a little bit, like they will if they're playing aggro, you can drop down your big fatty on like turn, whatever, 7 or 8, and then follow up with this card, and then you just super blow them out. You know what I mean? Like, now they have no board at all.
Yeah.
You have this big fatty. Like, it's not too bad in like the control mirror, but like I feel like it's going to see most of its hang on, your little face thing. Quit. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Skype messing up. Trying to make it difficult. I think this card has some cool uses. Well, like I was saying before, but it definitely in like a blood diamond deck. I think using it with Extinction, really sets up for some retarded blowouts against aggro. This is a card that I don't think you'll be playing on 6 very often. So I don't think the cost is that absurd. But even if you have to, cast it on turn 6, it's not horrible. You know what I mean? Like, for like emergency 6-drop board wipe against aggro or whatever. Like, it's not a bad card. It definitely has its limits, which again is why it's in our honorable mention. But I think the card is definitely really neat. And any effect that has the potential to wipe your opponent's board and leave you with a creature is always good. I mean, I think we both agree on that. Like, that's a very strong ability to have.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Definitely.
I like it.
I like it more.
So now we're getting into our top 3 diamond cards.
Definitely. This is a card, Inner Conflict, that I actually called you retarded for picking a number 3 until I realized that this is Hex.
Yeah, I had to convince you.
You're right.
So Inner Conflict. Okay, so it looks really plain just on paper. It's a 2-cost basic action with 1 threshold that says target troop gets permanent. This troop can attack or block. Really boring card. However, what you don't realize until you really think about it is that all things permanent in Hex are just actually permanent. Like, if they die and get back somehow, like, it maintains the can attack or block. If they return it to their hand, it maintains it. So it's considerably better than a card in Magic like Pacifism, which is this exact effect on a constant, basically.
Yeah, which is what I thought. Like, when you showed me this card, that's exactly what I related to. I was like, well, Pacifism's like really good. Like, I'm not gonna say really good, but it's very good.
It's playable, yeah. It's certainly playable. There's nothing wrong with the card.
Yeah, sure. In draft, right? Like, if you draft, Pacifism, you're like, got it. This is good. So when you're basically saying like, here's this Pacifism card, which does the exact same effect, but it is not permanent, obviously. Which is in Magic, it's an enchantment, which is easily dealt with, especially in Standard. You were trying to say that's a top 3 card. It just blew my mind. I was like, okay, oh my god, you're retarded. Yeah. Like, something happened to you. Holy crap, John's had it. But like, this is a perfect example of why Hex is such an awesome game. But because this game is digital, they can take a card like Pacifism, which is just okay in Standard, and turn it into this like actually playable card in Standard. You know what I mean? Like, they just change.
This card is really, really, really good.
Sure,
it takes out a creature permanently. The only downside is that the creature can still use its tap powers, which, I mean, is fine, but they just can't like attack or block. So it essentially takes out any 4/4, 5/5, 3/3 creature that's kind of blocking your way. You just slap this on it and then attack right through it.
Yeah, not to mention it's one threshold. It's it's a common.
Yeah.
Like this is also going to be a powerhouse in draft. Just like
yeah, this card would be
was.
very good in draft. Very, very high.
This card is definitely like once I actually realize this is Hex, not Magic, which I feel like it's going to happen a lot. For this first set, I think this first set a lot of people are going to compare cards to Magic, which is okay, and like they're going to miss like little words like permanent and like what I'm saying, and not realize how powerful cards are. I mean, I made that mistake, so like.
Yeah.
I about kicked you off the show when you told me this is going to be top 3. So
we'll see. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating it slightly, but I see it seeing quite a bit of play, at least until we see maybe set 3 or 4. But the first two sets, when the card pool is limited, the card will see quite a bit of play.
Well, like we're talking about, earlier, this is just like the Kickstarter preview cards. You know what I'm saying? So like we haven't seen all of Diamond cards, so I'm sure there will probably be another card release that's going to be better than a common. But like for right now, that card's actually really strong. And like it's not the first time we've seen common cards come in and do good. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah.
All right, so here goes our second pick. Oh, Gabriel, His Majesty King Gabriel.
Yeah, I really like this guy.
Sure.
So King Gabriel, 7 cost 6/6 with steadfast, which means he doesn't tap to attack. 2 thresholds, so very easily splashable. And when he enters play, you create Bold Heart, which I believe is what, a 4/4 with Rage 2.
I actually have this card too.
Oh, okay.
Let me go ahead and pull it up too. It's kind of smaller, and here's this card here.
And
we'll talk about it a little bit more. I'll just kind of set up here.
And old Bullheart has the effect once. Well, he doesn't have the effect, but King Gabriel has the effect of once per game, if a troop you control would be destroyed, remove all damage from it instead. So this effect was very good in Magic, and it'll also be pretty strong in this game as well. Trying to think what to compare this to, but just on its own though, it's incredibly powerful. 6/6 is very, very difficult to kill, and this card is card advantage. So like I know people were talking about card advantage, card disadvantage, things like that. This card is a straight up card advantage because you're playing one card to get 2 troops out of it, and both those troops are very good on their own. So this guy will see quite a bit of play.
Yeah, I mean we'll talk a little bit more about some of the stuff he can do, but I want to kind of go over a couple questions for you I had personally with this card. I'm not really sure how it worked, and I want to talk to you about it. It says once per game, if this troop would be destroyed, remove all damage from it instead. Now, what happens if you use Extinction, which says destroy all creatures? Does all of your creatures still live? Do we know yet? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, like the way I'm almost positive that it works is so they cast Extinction, and King Gabriel himself will die, but then all of your other creatures will stay in play.
Okay. So like if you use Judgment,
it'll use their once per game effect.
If you use Judgment with him, like that could just be a super blowout. I mean, obviously, like we talked about before, some of these are fantasy, Magic Land, whatever, but like not too uncommon really. He's a pretty good card for control matches, right? Like he's a really good finisher. Like 6/6 for 7 comes out, makes all your guys indestructible. Like if there's one thing control decks don't like to play against, that's an indestructible guy. Like that's really annoying to have to kill a card twice, let alone every single card. So he's actually not too bad with like a human deck. You know what I mean? Like not horrible. He'll get inspired, so he's not god awful for that.
Yeah. And once again, this guy creates a permanent effect for your troops that they gain this effect. So it's permanent. So even if he dies, they maintain that permanent bonus that he gave them. So
let's take a little quick look at Boldheart here. I'll blow him up just a little bit. Like he's a Rage 2, which just means that whenever he attacks, he gets 2 more damage. So
it gets permanent +2/+0.
Yeah. So like and you gotta remember too, he won't die the first time. So you can attack for 4, and if they block and sacrifice a guy, he'll gain 2 damage and still be alive. So he has the potential to at least kill 2 creatures by just attacking. Before he actually can be killed.
He's Boldheart's pretty solid, and the fact that he's basically free, then it's even better.
Yeah, that's something that I guess I should have talked about last cast, but I didn't. Is Boldheart is a created card, right? So he's gray. His rarity's gray, which means he's created. So why does he have a mana cost?
Okay, so if somehow your opponent can like bounce him back to your hand, you could replay him for his mana cost.
Yeah, which I think is so awesome. Like that's
Right.
something that I don't think was very obvious. Like I don't think they talked too much about it, and I think it's such a cool thing to do. It's another reason why this game is going to be is a digital game and like the cool things they can do with it. So even
Yeah.
if he comes out and they bounce him, there. I mean, does he still keep his rage that he would get if he was bounced?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Rage is permanent. So like that's like this game, like their tokens, all have mana costs.
Sure.
So or resource costs rather. So you could replay them for their costs. Just like they were actual cards and not tokens. So that's, it's really cool that they can do that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So if you played him out, attacked, they blocked with like a 5/5, it would kill him. You let's say bounce him back to your hand and play him out again. Does he get like the indestructible keyword again? Or does
No, it's once per game permanent.
Yeah.
So like so he can't get that again.
So since it's permanent, he keeps that as well. So
yeah,
it's not like you're playing a new card, right?
right.
Sure. Cool. So I think he's really cool, really neat card. I think old Ned Stark here, or not Ned Stark, but some one of the Starks. What Stark would this be? Ned Stark, but he never.
Well, it's got
Direwolf
Direwolf with it, so yeah, we'll just go with old Rob Stark and
Rob
call
Stark?
it a day.
All right. So watch out for those weddings. All right.
Spoiler.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just said something about a wedding. All right.
So I got one more card here. Top diamond card.
Diamond card. This card is, oh my gosh. Let me tell you.
I feel that this card is one of the best cards in the game, and mainly because of the way that the mechanics work. So, and we'll talk about that.
Here he is.
So old ascetic
Seeker.
aspirant. Yeah, sure. His first stage is ascetic aspirant, 4 cost, 2 threshold, very easily splashable. He's a 3/4 at stage 1, and on stage 2 is an 0/1, and stage 3, what is he, a 4/5?
I'm sorry. I actually got the wrong card out because I'm an idiot, and it's so hard to tell.
Oh, cool. Well, I'll just keep talking about it then, because
We talk about the right card. I had the wrong card up on stream because I accidentally hit the wrong button. Ascetic Aspirant is the first form. He's a 4/drop, 3/4. Yep.
Okay, so the Transcended is his last phase, phase
Yes.
3, and he's a 6/5. So, so one thing that's really cool about this guy that I didn't realize until I thought about it some more is that all of his effects are permanent. So once you transform this guy into phase 2, which is Enlightened Seeker, it'll stay that way.
How do you the action, right? You just tap him. Correct?
Yeah, you just tap him and he transforms into an 0/1 that says you can't play cards.
Which
and
is Enlightened Seeker, right?
Right, yeah. And at the start of your turn, you draw an extra card, and then if you have 7 more cards in your hand, he transforms into the Transcended.
Okay, so like real quick, say on this card right here, like the key tip for this card would be not to play this card if you have like 3 cards in your hand, right?
Sure.
Like wait, like don't transform him until
yeah,
you know that you're going to draw into the same
right.
cards you need.
I mean, if you have control of the board, like transforming them when you have like 4 or 5 cards in your hand is still okay because you're drawing an extra card, start your turn. But if you're like kind of behind or board's kind of even, you don't really want to transform them if you only have 2 or 3 cards in your hand because
Exactly.
you can't play cards. But okay, so once you transform him into the 0/1. Say your opponent kills him with murder or any card ever that just does 1 damage, he will go to your graveyard as a copy of Enlightened Seeker. So if you bring him back from your graveyard with Call the Grave for example, he will stay as the 0/1. So he will never go back to phase 1 of the aspirant. So that's really, really good. So once you can get him to phase 3, which is a Transcended, it says if you would draw a card, search your deck for any card and put it into your hand instead. That so far is the most powerful effect in the entire game, to be able to search your deck every turn for the card that you need to win the game or take advantage or take control of the game, et cetera, et cetera. But it's also a 6/5, and
which is bananas. I mean, really.
Yeah, it's really good. And same thing, if your opponent kills him, you could play Call the Grave or anything else that bounces something back from your graveyard and just put him right back in to play as the Transcended. So that's really cool, and you can only do that in a game like Hex.
Well, sure. It was just really cool, and like even if you want to protect them, you know what I mean? Like use like an unsummon effect to protect them. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you could do that because he only costs 4 to play back out. You know what I mean? Like he retains his mana cost, which is really really good. So like if you do every step, when you can transform him by turn 6, right? He becomes a 6/5 by turn 6. So like so if they bounce him out, you get to play this 6/5 for 4 mana. Like that's really good. Like just on its own, a 6/5 for 4 is really good. Not to mention you get like a demonic tutor every turn. Like it's just really really good. It's a really good card. I feel like it works really well with blue. With Sapphire, we can put some draw cards in there. Like we saw the basically the divination card that lets you draw 2 cards. That's 2 tutors. Like that's so good. Like you can like this is a card game, which means sometimes you just don't draw the cards you need. So to get the ability to basically have any card you want anytime you draw a card is just unbelievable for this type of game.
Yeah, I think next week, next Friday. I'll wait till the end to talk about it more in depth. But we're gonna go in and build some decks in the deck builder, and like the blood diamond sort of mid-range control deck is something that I'm really looking forward to building, and this guy is a really focal point to that with cards like Call the Grave and Vampire King, among other cards. But we'll talk about that more later.
Sure. Yeah, this guy's really cool. I think he's really a really unique card. I mean, like I really like that all these top cards that we're kind of showing too. Coincidentally, also really show off the power of Hex. You know what I mean? Like they're so like we know kind of like we see a card like. What was the first card? The third card we previewed, the pacifism card. What's that card called?
Inner Conflict.
Yeah, like we see a card like Inner Conflict, but we can relate to that card. You know what I mean? Kind of. We can be like, oh, that's pacifism, right? That's okay. But a card like this, like it's almost impossible for us to even really understand how good the card can be and how it can really work.
Sure.
Because I feel like every time I read it, I learn something new about the card. So that's really cool.
All right, so that's it for Diamond. I think where are we going next? Ruby.
Yes, going to Ruby.
Okay, so we got Ruby and Sapphire left. Let's go in the Ruby here.
Ruby Tuesday.
So Ruby is, it's basically red from Magic. Has a lot of the same concepts. Kill your opponent as fast as possible. And so far, the cards that we've seen previewed for it all do that very well.
Yeah, I feel like the card. We'll start with my runner-up for the cards. Very, very cool card. I feel like, speaking of killing people fast, this card's going to be able to do it. Old Zoltog. He looks scary, too, by the way. Like,
he is pretty scary looking, yeah.
He looks like freaking April's mom. Jesus Christ.
So Old Zoltog here is a 4-resource, 3/4 with 2 threshold. And it says when an orc troop you control, and he's also an orc, but when an orc troop you control deals damage to a champion, you create a Savage Raider and put it into play. And Savage Raider is a 1-cost 2/1 orc. So this guy like essentially has speed, but not really, but like essentially he does, because other orcs you control just make 2/1s. So I like this card a lot in a really fast, mono red or even black red like orc deck. It seems very, very good for something like that, and he'll see quite a bit of play.
Yeah, like we saw like the card Rage Howler, which is just like a 2-drop that you can pay 1 to give someone haste. So like it's actually possible to actually give him haste. Which is cool.
Right.
Like I feel like he has the ability to literally. Just take the game over by himself, which is always good for red. He's also a good response to a board wipe. You know what I mean? Like you play out guys, you get your board wiped. You play this guy out, and you just start making more troops. You know what I mean? Like that's really strong for red, and that's something that I feel like is something that an aggressive caller really needs. They need this kind of engine card to kind of help them take over.
Well, decks that are fast that tend to play their hands out by turn 4 or 5 really needs something to generate card advantage, and that's what this guy does.
Exactly.
He generates card advantage, and it if you're playing against like a control deck, you can just play this guy and just attack with 1 or 2 creatures rather than play out your entire hand and get blown out by like extinction or something. So he just applies constant pressure, card advantage, and he's a 3/4. So this guy's
he does have that magical toughness we talked about earlier. So that's I think he's a really cool card. I think he's really neat. I don't really enjoy playing aggro, but I would play this guy. Like I think he's really cool.
Yeah.
So let's move on to your card, John Tata. Sidekick Tata. Oh, Inferno.
Old Inferno. So this card, maybe I'm a little higher on it than some other people, but I think the effect is pretty good. So 3 cost, constant, 3 red threshold. So you're basically really only going to see this in some sort of mono ruby, fast deck. But it's a constant, like I said, and it says at the start of each champion's turn, this card does 3 damage to each champion. So going back to my Magic days, there's a card called Sulfuric Vortex, which was more or less the same thing, except it said only deal 2 damage, and it also had the caveat of players can't gain life. So while not being quite as powerful as the Vortex, this card does 1 extra damage and can quickly put the game out of reach, if you're playing lots of burn cards and really fast orcs. I feel like this is a pretty good finisher, and I think it'll see tons and tons of play.
Yeah, it's really cool too because it helps red win the race. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
If they get ahead of you at all, they just play this card out, and it's like, I get super screwed.
Very hard to come back once this card is in play, unless you already have somewhat of a board presence. But then playing this card isn't the best idea. But
sure, which is why it's a runner-up, right? It's kind of not quite as bad as like drawing it like on turn 7 or something as Zombie Plague was, but it has that effect where like obviously if you're at 3 life, you don't really want to play this down. But like we did see that happen in the stream, right? Like he actually killed himself with Inferno. You know what I mean? Like, so sure, like that can happen, which is kind of why it's a runner-up.
Like I feel like that could have been avoided, but I mean, I'm not going to get into talking about their gameplay in the stream. But,
sure. I mean, like we'd be here all night, but like definitely, it has the potential if played at the right time and by a skilled player to be able to just really destroy the game, really take it over, or put you even further ahead. I think it's a really cool card. I'm really interested to play with it. I think it red actually, and I really don't like aggro, but I think red is actually shaping up to be a really neat color to play.
Pretty neat, and it's also worth noting that this card does hit your opponent first. So I mean that's something to keep in mind as well.
Because you play it out, and at the start of their turn they take 3, and at the start of your turn you take 3. So it will always hit them first, or they'll take them the bigger hits first, I guess.
Right.
They'll lose 6 before you do, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. Media file. All right, so going for our number 3 card of set for Ruby here. Ruby Lance. Now, real quick, before we get too far into this card, we'll go ahead and pull up another card. Actually, no, you just go ahead and talk about it while I get the card ready.
All right, so Ruby Lance here, 3 cost, quick action. That's really worth noting. It's a quick action. 1 threshold, however, it might as well be 3 threshold. It doesn't really matter. But it's deal 1 damage to target troop for each Ruby threshold you have. So, as Dusty's pulling this card up, last week we said that maybe 3 toughness was around the magic number for where you want to be, and we said not too many cards kill things at 3 or 4 toughness. But the reality is that so far we have Ruby Lance, which can very easily kill a 3 or 4 toughness troop, and then there's also
Terrible Transfer.
Terrible Transfer, which once again can very easily kill a 3, 4, 5, or even 6 toughness troop. The only downside to cards like the Lance and the Transfer is that you basically have to be mono-colored to get the full full value out of it. So
actually, Robert Green in our comments brought that up, and I saw the comment. And I was like, yeah, he is right. I mean, he is obviously right. This card will at turn 4 kill a 4 toughness creature. Yes, but as Bruce really wanted to kind of point out that it is restricted a lot to monocolored decks, so it's not as you don't want to build your decks around I'll get blown out by Ruby Lance if they're a mono red deck, which is probably more of a thing than if they're a mono blood deck. But we just want to point out real quick that there is actually 2 cards that would be able to kill creatures over 3 toughness that's been spoiled so far, but we're not too worried about them because they do restrict your deck building so much. So.
Yeah, and there's a few other cards that also do it, but those are the 2 main ones that straight up deal X amount of damage to something. But like I said, you have to be monocolored for them, and they're a little more restrictive. But I mean, they're still very good if you're mono Ruby, which several players will be. This card is probably worth playing in some quantity, just to
Sure.
be able to kill cards like Vampire King and various other cards like that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So these cards are really cool. They're really good in draft as well. So they're very, very cool cards, very neat cards.
Yeah.
This hyena guy's getting destroyed by this lance. All right, moving on to our second card. I like this card a lot. Oh, Ember Spire Witch. I can actually blow this card out. There we go.
Yep. So the Witch here is a 2-cost troop. It's a witch creature type, so like doesn't have a lot of synergy with orcs and stuff, but that's kind of irrelevant because the effect is super powerful. 2 red threshold. It has Swift Strike, which is very relevant. I believe it's a 2/2. I think it was made a 3/2 by like a Ruby Mage or something in the the demo, but I think the actual stats is a 2/2.
Actually, I just realized that like Swift Strike is green. Are keywords normally green?
I'm not really sure. This is pre-alpha, but like I know that this card just had Swift Strike. Like
so
no card in play.
Definitely has Swift Strike for sure.
Yeah, it definitely has Swift Strike for sure. But I'm almost positive that it's a 2/2 and not a 3/2 though. I think the Ruby Pyromancer made it a 3/2. But regardless, like the effect is players can't gain life. So that is very good for a mono Ruby deck, of course, and really hoses white decks, diamond decks that are trying to play like cards like Eternal Youth and some other life gain cards, and also hoses the blood decks playing like the drain life card as well as the terrible transfer card. So this card's gonna see quite a bit of play, and if your deck wants to gain life, you're really gonna have to find a way to deal with this card.
Oh, sure.
Or else you're just not gonna be able to gain life, of course.
I mean, the fact it has Swift Strike in this effect, I think is absurd. Which wouldn't surprise me if like this card doesn't have Swift Strike, but it blows me away that it does. I mean, just a 2/2 that has this effect is playable for 2. Like what I'm saying? Like let alone possibly a 3/2 with Swift Strike.
Well,
it's
like
unbelievable.
It's a rare, so like I'm almost positive it has a Swift Strike. Like this card wouldn't be rare if it was just champions can't gain health. Like that's
true.
That's really good effect, but it's not like rare quality.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. Like like you said, it's alpha. Who knows? Like by the time beta comes out, this could be an 07 that flies. I don't know. Like who knows? But like with this picture in mind, this card's absurd, which is all we have to go on. So
yeah, it's a good one. And then old number 1 here is gonna be no surprise to anyone. Old Ragefire.
Jeez, this card is bananas.
Yeah, this card is gonna be in a multitude of decks. The fact that so it's a 2-cost basic action. So the only downside to this card is it's a basic action and not a quick a quick action. Sorry, but has escalation. And the card does 2 damage to a champion or a troop. So, you don't have to think too hard about, all the possibilities for this card. It does 2 damage, so it kills something. And then later on, once you draw it again, or any other copy of it, it does 4, and then 8, and then 16, and so on and so on. So, where I see this card really getting out of hand is maybe in Sapphire red decks that have quite a bit of card draw, or maybe in a deck that plays the Enlightened with red, so Diamond Ruby, to where you could search this card out of your deck every turn.
Oh, sure. I mean, like even playing like Aya Creation with this card is absurd. I mean, it has the potential to just keep shuffling back in and keep doing damage. You know what I mean? Like that's right. I mean, like obviously, again, not super likely, but it's possible. It's like it's so cool that there's interactions like that. You know what I mean? It's such a cool thing. I mean, escalation, I think, is such a cool keyword. I think
escalation is one of my favorite keywords from any game in quite a while.
Yeah, I think it's so cool. The fact that it changes cards in your hand, too. So, like, if you have 2 of these cards in your hand, like, it still is beneficial. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, one does 2, then the second one you play out does 4.
Exactly. Right? And, like, the fact that it hits champions and troops is really good. I mean, I could even see maybe a controlling deck maybe trying to throw in some Rage Fires, like That's like
there's no reason not to.
Like it's such a good card, it's such a versatile card, which is why it's a number 1 card. I can see. I mean, it's cool whenever a card is just as good in an aggro deck as it is in a control deck. To me, I think that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah, and there'll be some Ruby decks that aren't just all in balls out like fast decks, you know,
Sure.
and stuff. Like there'll be decks in Magic, they were called big red decks, where you know you play the 4, 5, and 6 drops of red. Like you know, you can still play Zoltog, of course, but you also have that Tatalka, which is a 5-drop that, you know, transforms into something, you know, really cool.
I'll have to say, so far, I feel like red has been our toughest, like, caller to judge the top 5 cards. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like really, like, there were so many other cards we could have chose. Like, there was that 8/1 Haster that dies. Like, that card's bananas. Like,
well, he actually doesn't die, but
he doesn't die. Oh.
No, he stays around. The 8/1, the Tarask, or whatever his name is, rampaging Tarask. Like, he's an 8/1 with crush and speed, but he doesn't die at end of turn.
Oh, so, I thought he died through the turn.
He should, but he doesn't.
So it's really cool that, like, I feel like Ruby is such a cool color. I think it's so neat. I'm actually surprised. I mean, I've always kind of liked red, but, like, I don't know, like, it's just really it's a cool.
Yeah.
I really like Hex's take on Ruby. I think it's really neat.
Yeah. So far, I've been pretty excited, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Sure. All right, so moving on to the last caller, old Sapphire. I love this. It's blue, basically. Obviously, I mean, you're a huge fan of blue and like what it can do. I mean,
yeah, blue has always been my favorite color in all other games, and Sapphire so far. I mean, it's my favorite color just based off of my playstyle, but so far I've been pretty underwhelmed with like the blue cards they've shown. They're all really cute and they do neat things, but like nothing's been like, oh my god, this card's, you know, really good, other than like 3 or 4 cards.
Yeah, which is like, you know, I mean, you'll see with my honorable mention, which is, I mean, basically my honorable mention is like the worst card out of the 5. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So like, actually, it's probably the worst card we've actually shown on here. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Like, even old Pacifism beats it out. So we'll show it here. Old Oracle Song. Which, by the way, I'm so sorry that this is the best quality of this card we could find. It is horrible.
Yeah,
the quality is almost as horrible as the card, but go ahead.
So it's just a 3-cost basic action that says draw 2 cards. So it's pretty simple. You know, we like to talk about card advantage and card disadvantage and all that, and this card is a perfect example of card advantage. Like, as simple as it gets. Like, you play this card and replace it with an extra card.
Sure.
So, you know, I don't know if it'll be like a staple in blue decks or a Sapphire decks, but if there's no other card draw in the first set, like, it'll just see play just for that reason alone.
Yeah.
And you know, that's also something to point out with this first set, is that cards like this don't really seem powerful at first glance, but once you look through a card list and notice that, you know, there's only 1 or 2 cards that have this effect, the value of it suddenly goes up, you know, by quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's some cool things about this card. I mean, it is 1 threshold, which is neat. So that means you can splash it in other decks if you want to, whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's also target champion, which is kind of cute. We don't know what other cards could do, but it's possible to make your opponent draw 2 cards if you'd ever want to do that. I don't know. Like, it's relevant sometimes. Like, you know, if they have 2 cards left, you can make them lose the game, whatever. That's kind of cute. I mean, it's better to be able to target your enemy, the other champion, than not be able to, I guess. It might open up something. Also, this card works really well with the Ascendant card we talked about. You know, it's basically tutor 2, which is really good. And this card, you know, is very basic, like you said. Again, it is a core set, so we're going to see, like, you know, things like this. Cards that aren't super overwhelming, but it does have the potential to, you know, maybe be a little bit better than first glance. Like you mentioned, though, it is really important to realize, as far as card advantage goes, this does not give you 2 cards. Like, you know what I mean? You only go up 1 card.
Yeah.
You're replacing the card.
It's plus 1 card for 3 resources, which, I mean, that's going to be what everything is going to be calculated off of in the first set, because that's the best we've seen that does that. So basically every extra card could be valued at, you know, 3 resources.
Yeah, and, like, you know, this is why, you know, blue is powerful. Blue has these kind of effects that, if not controlled, you know, if not, like, you know, kept at the right power level, they're just really good. I mean, obviously, having 1 more card than your opponent is very good. Like, even in poker, like, if you had 1 more card than everyone else, like, that's really good. So, like, these kind of cards have the potential to be good, which is neat.
Yeah,
I like it.
And you know, like, while I'm thinking about it, like, was it Pact of Pain? Like I think it is. You pay 2 resources and 2 life to draw a card. It's a blood card. A lot of people are pretty high on that, and it's a very good card. But in the grand scheme of things, like this card, for example, existed in Magic more or less, and it was awful. But that's because we had so many other cards that would let us draw cards. Yeah. So like we could revisit this in 3 or 4 sets from now, maybe like a year from now, and like we'll probably be laughing that Pact of Pain and Oracle Song were even mentioned, because there'll be cards that are so much better. But for now, this is what we have, and that's why cards like that are on our list.
Let me tell you how me personally, whenever I see a card that says draw a card on it, I immediately look at that card. I don't care.
Sure, yeah.
It could be a 1,000 cost card. I'll be like, it draws me a card. That is pretty good.
Right.
Like, for 1,000 mana, sure. Like, I would really wish they would have taken this card and maybe at least made it a quick action. Like, could be at least like, have, obviously draw is a lot better on your opponent's turn. That way you don't get punished for tapping out or whatever. But Oracle Song, bad quality card, not too bad. Maybe we'll find some way to do it, some way to take it. So your runner up, Dream Dance.
Old Dream Dance here. 3 cost, quick action, 1 threshold, and it says you pay 1 less to play cards this turn, and you draw a card. So this card, it's kind of deceiving, I think. It doesn't say to a minimum of 1, which has me pretty intrigued. It definitely piques my interest. I think if there's a way to chain maybe a bunch of 1-cost artifacts or 1-cost other cards, even 2-cost cards, so you can chain several cards together to get a more powerful effect. Worst case is you pay 3 resources to draw a card, so it's not card disadvantage at all. Like it's basically just breaks even on card advantage. So you're not losing a card for it.
Yeah.
There's really not much else to say about this card yet. There's not really a whole lot of cards that work with it, but I think the effect is too powerful to just ignore outright.
Like it is a quick action, so at worst case you can pay 3 at the end of your opponent's turn and draw a card, which is like not the worst. You know what I mean? Like it's 1 threshold, which is cool. It works very well with Eye of Creation. I think that was in the actual preview of Eye of Creation when they spoiled it. They showed it, which is obviously that works very well. So I think it's a cute card. It's neat. Like again, it's kind of like what Sapphire has been so far. It's just kind of been cute. Like there's these cards that are like neat. Sure, like me, I'm not a huge fan of this card. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like it that much. I think that it takes you have to devote so much to your deck to make it kind of pay off. But I think if you do get the payoff, it is going to be absurd, and that's why it's here. You know what I mean? But the card is neat. I really do think it's neat, and I'm glad Cryptozoic's kind of going at this really safe kind of blue card. You know what I'm saying? They're starting low, which is good.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some crazy blue cards before the game's released, though. I really hope so, at least.
Probably.
So, number 3, Archmage Windlock.
Yeah, this guy is along the same vein as Dream Dance, where he reduces the cost of cards you play. He works just for actions, but still, it is in that same family there. The biggest downside to this guy, okay, so 4 resources, 2 threshold for a 2/2. So you're kind of a little below average from cost to power toughness ratio, but he does have the effect of when you play an action, you can draw a card. So this guy potentially chaining with Dream Dance can generate so much card advantage, and I'm pretty excited to try something with that.
Sure, yeah. Even with Eye of Creation too, I think that's another card that was spoiled during the thing as well. But still, that's cool. That's a neat action with them. Really quick question for you. I don't know if our viewers know. I'm not even sure if you know. I don't know, actually. I just realized this. What's the unique rule in Hex?
Unique. Yeah, they said it somewhere. I believe it's like the new legendary rule for Magic is that once you play a second character with unique, you have to choose one and make it go away. So you can only have one unique, troop of that name and play at a time.
So like, can your opponent still have one out too, or is that?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sure.
Your opponent can still have it. Just you
Yeah, which is cool. I like that. You know, like you gotta be really careful with unique cards or legendary cards like in Magic. Is like you can't put too many in your deck because you don't want to have like 2 in your hand. You know, that's an awkward situation. And this guy is unique, which, you know, is a little bit of a downside. But I think this effect is super powerful. Like,
well,
so many ways.
If he wasn't, you know, had to have that downside to him that you could have multiple in play, and every time you play an action, you draw multiple cards.
Sure,
so like,
I mean,
you know, you could potentially go infinite by just chaining actions that cost 2 less. So
sure. No,
of course it is.
I'm not debating that he shouldn't be. I'm just saying that.
Right. It is to a minimum of 1, but still, like, you could do some pretty silly things.
Sure.
So
I think he's cool. Like I said, the 2/2, you know, not too. That's kind of cool about blue. You know, blue's one of those colors where, like, you know, at first glance they don't look that powerful. Like 4 mana for a 2/2, but then once you start, you know, drawing a couple cards off this guy, like he could have the potential to get pretty absurd.
Yeah. So a couple more cards here for you guys. Next one was it Void Leech Phantasm.
Yep, that's
is that the next card?
This is probably one of my favorite cards spoiled so far. I love this card.
Yeah, you know, 4 cost, 3 threshold, 3/4 flight. And has the ability once per game you can pay 2 resources, and you can interrupt target card. Interrupt is just if you're familiar with Magic terms, it's just counterspell target card, so any card. And if it is interrupted this way, which you know will be unless something crazy happens, you put it into the owner's hand. So this card is what you would call a typical tempo card. So, you know, you play them, you have a 3/4 flyer, which is very hard to deal with, and then you can out-tempo your opponent by just, you know, countering their next, like, 4 or 5 cost card.
Sure.
So it's pretty solid. You know, I'm pretty excited about this card, but, you know, once again, Sapphire hasn't been too overly exciting, but, you know, this guy seems like he fits in, you know, a typical Sapphire deck.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Obviously, I love tempo decks. Like, they're my favorite to play. I have so much fun playing them. This card is perfect for that. 3/4 flyer is awesome. I love that he's not unique, so you can have multiple out, whatever. You know, I think it's so cool. Such a neat card. There's not really much more to say about him. Obviously, right now, this is the only interrupt card that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
They have said on their stream, though, that there will be other interrupt cards.
Yeah.
But like this effect right now is the only card spoiled so far that does it. That effect is so powerful. Like I don't think I can explain how strong counterspell is, and just how that card is like. You know, this obviously only bounces it to their opponent's hand, which I'm okay with. But like, you know, I think it's such a cool card. I think it's very neat.
Yeah.
Neat. We should change it to the neat color.
So the last card we have for you is kind of a funny card to have as our number 1 blue card, but I feel like in this game, blue is kind of taking a more aggressive approach, which I'm fine with. But old Thunderbird here, 2 cost, 2 threshold, 1/1 flight. He's a common, so I mean, these guys are gonna be everywhere in drafts. But he has Rage 1.
So good in draft too, by the way. Like,
yeah. So Rage 1 on a 1/1 flyer for 2 resources is pretty solid. So there's really not much to say about this guy. I mean, he's very good at what he does. He attacks your opponent pretty much unabated for most of the game. He's very easy to kill with one toughness, but you know, he's probably going to do some work before your opponent finally kills him, and it's going to feel awful to use, you know, like a murder, for example, to kill a Thunderbird.
Sure.
So
that's the whole point of tempo, right? Like that's the cool thing about him. Like you throw him out, you attack, and let's say you play out the Phantasm. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Then it's like you have to sacrifice a card because it's going to get returned back to your hands. It's just so cool that this 2-drop 1/1 has the potential basically to draw a card out of your opponent. Like it's so cool. Like I love him. Like I think it's so neat. I love cards like this. I'm such like a huge tempo person. I love them. I think it's so neat. This card has, you know, we've even seen some cool like Ruby Sapphire ideas we had that like you know, maybe make him even stronger. You know, I think it's gonna be really neat card.
Yeah, it'll be good. So I think that's all the card set reviews.
Sure. So what's your favorite card out of all the cards we've spoiled so far? What out of all these cards? What is your favorite card?
I think the card I'm most excited to try to build decks around. It's kind of a tie between Vampire King and the aesthetic aspirant. The transform guys, he seems very good, and of course, naturally, the first deck that I'm going to try to build has both those cards in it. So I'm really pumped to try to build that deck. So, and then so oh, let's see. What's your favorite card? I'm sorry, I'm about to go on to the next segment.
What's your guess? What do you think my favorite card is?
Well, probably Eye of Creation.
No.
No, actually not Eye of Creation.
No, Zombie Plague. I thought you.
Oh yeah, Zombie Plague. Sure.
I love that card. I think the card's so cool. Like the potential it has to just destroy a game. I love it. Like, it's so neat.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on to our old ending the video here. First thing I want to say is I've decided to do a Shaggy TV segment for the website, which is basically every Wednesday. I'm going to just make a video, just me though. Old Baldy here won't be with me. It'll just be me, and all I'm going to do is just take a... he is bald, yes. Is I'm going to take one of your guys' comments and just do a whole video answering it, basically. Like going super in-depth and just really talking about it. Hopefully give you guys some answers. The first video I'm going to do this coming Wednesday is going to be Vash. One of our commenters on our video actually asked what games could he play as a new person to TCGs that could get him kind of ready for Hex, you know what I mean? Like, what can he do to get prepared for Hex while we're waiting for Alpha, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do a whole video segment of, like, some different games you can download, some free-to-play games, some stuff you can do to basically learn the basics of trading card games before, you know, Hex comes out to Alpha, so you'll just be ready to get in there and get destroyed by me and John.
I'm sure I will lose a ton in this game at the beginning, trying to like build decks and test them, and just get crushed all the time.
Which is gonna be so fun. I think that's so cool about this game. Like, I know I'm gonna like look at a card and be like, I know exactly what this does, and just get blown out by it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's permanent. That sucks. I'm destroyed.
So we have that for you guys Wednesday. Then next Friday, you know, there's a deck builder available online now. I forget which website, but I'm sure I can find it. And so there's a deck builder with the card database known so far, and people have been building decks and posting them, and you know, talking about them. And I feel like we could do that next Friday. You know, I'll build a deck, and Dusty will build a deck, and then we'll, you know, we'll just talk about them for a while. And hopefully, it won't be as long as these card reviews. I think this one's probably gone on about an hour now, but you know, it's fine. Then we like to be around between 30 and 45 minutes, and you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, we're trying to give you guys like more information. A lot of people ask for more information, which is going to make these videos a little bit longer. But hopefully, like as we move on, the videos will be much shorter, or not really shorter, but more, you know, compacted. You know, not so like rambly. I hope. As we get better at what we're doing here. So next video, we're going to do the deck building Shaggy TV on Wednesday, which is going to be really cool. Also, we like to, once again, me personally, thank you guys so much for watching these videos. Like, I know we've only had one up, but like literally, like I think at the time of this video we had like over 800 views or something. Like, that is overwhelming for me. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it.
It's been great, and you know, of course, that's only going to get better once the game comes out. You know, we'll be able to put more quality content out once we could actually stream drafts. You know, deck building sessions, several other things. Yeah, it's only going to get better. So, just want to close this out by saying, you know, from myself, thank you guys so very much. You know, we've been working hard to put out the best content for you guys, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, like us, or follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on Twitch and YouTube, and don't forget to sign up for the old contest on the website.
Get you some free warrior tier like a boss. One last time, thank you so much to Mr. Brandon Williams for the awesome overlay, whatever you call it, and intro to the video. That awesome video is all him. He destroyed it. Thank you so much, and thank you again to Chevy for doing the website. It looks awesome. It's held up well. Oh, also one more time, I can't believe I almost forgot about this. There's actually a bug on the website with our videos. So a lot of you said that the quality was really bad. Oh my god, I should have said this at the beginning of the video. It's actually just the video on our website won't let you go over 360p or whatever. So like you have to go to the YouTube channel to watch this in high def, basically. So I'm so sorry. I can't believe I said this at the end of the video. It's all John's fault. He was supposed to remind me. So sorry, guys. But again, thank you so much, John. I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
See you guys.